Welcome into another edition of Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri, and boy, are we going to have some fun today. We're going to talk a little history out at Booker T, and oh, is there a lot of history out at Booker T. We're also going to talk to their new head football coach who went to the playoffs this year. We'll talk to someone who just won a second straight state championship in flag football. We'll find out what middle school and high school athletics mean to students around here, and we're going to get into something you might even have not even thought about. NIL in high school. It's all coming up, so stick with us right here. Pick your best topic, grab a beverage, and let's do Inside Tulsa Athletics. Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri, and we are really going to have some fun right now. We're going to talk a little history out at Booker T. And with us is Lamar Burks, and he can talk history all day. And as a matter of fact, see, Lamar, you brought props right here.
Yeah, I did. I learned from the pros.
Tell me what we're looking at here.
We're looking at this here. This is the award they gave me for speaking on behalf of Seymour Williams when he was into the Oklahoma Sports Museum.
And that's Seymour right
Seymour
there. For people who don't know, tell us who he is.
Seymour Williams was the first coach at Booker T. Washington. He had an overall record that led the state 230 wins. And he started track, he started football, he started wrestling, and Coach Lacey kind of followed in his path. I like to say that I probably was the last player that Seymour Williams coached when he was 80 years old, because he came to Booker T one day to perfect our long snapping, and he bought me this weighted football. And after our big game with Nathan Hale, where we won 30-28, I converted 5 extra point snaps, and I attribute that to Coach Seymour Williams.
And of course, S.C. Williams, the stadium. That's why
exactly.
You're talking about that.
I played in the first game there too in 1972.
And you'll notice he had to throw in the fact they beat Hale, but we'll move on from there because there's some history between those two schools. Now, when you talk about BTW history, we can start there actually with S.C. Williams. And then you mentioned Mr. Lacey, and I knew him fairly well. Just the ultimate gentleman, but you said not on the coaching field?
Not on the coaching field. If you've ever read the story about Paul Bear Bryant, Coach Lacey was like that in his own way. He never really smiled, and he never told you how good you were. If you scored a touchdown, he'd tell you you missed that block. And just like when I converted those 5 extra points, I just knew when I went to practice on Sunday, he was going to tell me I did a great job. He didn't say nothing to me. So I'm like, wow, this man he used to wear some dark shades, and you never knew if he was looking at you. You might be over here clowning, he'd say, I saw you. Quickly, a little story. We went to Super Bowl for winning the state, and we were having a hard time raising the money to go. And Coach Lacey called the meeting and said, if we wanted to go, we got to go door to door to ring, pick the money up. And the art teacher said, Lamar, you need to make a sign so we see you on TV. And I told the art teacher, we're not going nowhere. I ain't making that sign. And she told Coach Lacey, and he told me that if I didn't make that sign, that I wasn't going to the Super Bowl. So me and my buddy knew the ins and outs of Booker T. Went up there one day on a snow day. Ironically, it snowed.
Right.
We got into the school and we painted that sign.
And you went, right?
Yeah, we went that Friday. We had 5 days to go. We had to go door to door, and we got in that building, painted that sign. Didn't get shown though, but ironically, the lady that squealed on me, Linda Henry, she passed last week. The first Booker T art teacher doing integration, and I'll never forget that story.
And that's some more history at Booker T. But we go back to the players. I mean, you look right here. Here's an Athletics Hall of Fame plaque. And what team is this?
That's the team I played on 1973, the first team ever on television, the Super Bowl team,
That's the whole thing right there. That's pretty
white,
neat.
600 black at Booker T.
And then we can't not talk about people like John Weinsberry and Reuben Gant.
Exactly.
And you
Tommy
go back
Zachary,
so deep in history, and it's not just football.
It's right. It's all sports. I mean, Granville Liggins in football and wrestling. Some guys play tennis. It goes, the history, you can name 100 players from Booker T that were great, and I could sit here and give you 100 more.
Yeah.
And then there's about 50 more that are upset because you didn't say their name. It's deep.
And I know you people have asked you this before. If you had to name the top 5 football players, who would you put in that category?
It's hard to say.
And remember, they're all watching.
Yeah, it kind of goes through eras. Sure. I can say Granville Liggins when I first started watching football in like the 5th grade. Mm-hmm. I can say his brother. I can say the center who I wanted to be like, Don Center, or Reginald Ice Terry. I mean, Tommy Zachary. See, I've named 100 already. Mm-hmm. Clinton Ball. What about me, Burks? I get phone calls all the time. Coach Burks, I saw that list of the Ring of Honor. Hey, man, we sat down and, I grew up the street from Marcus Peel. I stayed around the corner from Charles Davis. I stayed next door to Lynn Harding. I mean, I started cutting out football men when my mother got mad at me for tearing up the newspaper.
Yes.
So she bought me an electric football set, but that didn't stop me. And from then on, I've been a Hornet player, fan, coach, historian, etc.
You got to talk about the Collins family.
The Collins family. He came after me, but a coach said if there's ever going to be another great player, Booker T, it was going to be Mickey Collins. He came out of the 9th grade from Anderson, and he did what he did.
And Patrick.
Super. Phillip. Mm-hmm. I mean, the girl, he had a lot, people don't know he had a lot of sisters that ran track. Mm-hmm. That family is thick. That history, it goes way, way back. His dad was a good player. I think they said at Biggs or somewhere like that. That history is, I love finding out new history about Booker T. Washington High School. It amazes me, and I thought I knew halfway everything, but I got a lot to learn,
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk a little more Booker T football coming up because we're going to actually have Nate Goodman with us a little bit later on as well. But we also have some more Booker T history that we'll talk from time to time. Lamar, thank you very much for this. Let's do one more talk, and we'll see what we can come up with. All right.
Great.
Coming back here on Inside Tulsa Athletics.
Hey Tulsans, the city of Tulsa would like to remind you to recycle right. When it comes to items that you can put in your blue recycling card, remember these 4 categories: aluminum and steel cans, cardboard and paper, plastic bottles and jugs, and glass bottles and jars. Please remember that plastic bags, styrofoam, and batteries do not belong in your blue card. Please do your part and don't forget to think before you throw.
I always wanted to be a teacher in a school, and preferably high school, and here I am living out my dream.
I was going to be able to make a difference.
The district is so equitable and lovable to our students.
I chose Tulsa Public Schools because I am Tulsa Public Schools.
I have a lot of students from different cultures that speak different languages, have different traditions.
Tulsa needs teachers like you.
Make a difference in Tulsa.
Apply today at tulsaschools.org/teach
TPS.
We are back on Inside Tulsa Athletics, talking a little bit of history out at Booker T. Washington with Lamar Burks, and we've covered a little bit of history already when we've talked to you before, Lamar. But so we haven't mentioned a couple of other guys too. Kenny Monday just came up, and he just happened to be pretty doggone good.
Exactly. I grew up with his brothers. His oldest brother was my age. They all wrestled. His oldest brother was a little bitty guy, so he finally gave up football and just did wrestle. He went to OU. His name was Mike. Mm-hmm. Then there was Jim. And I was just thinking, I coached 4 years at Booker T and like 10 or 15 at Central, 1 year at McLean. And my second stint back at Booker T, Coach Goodman was on that team with Felix Jones and those guys, right. Quentin Chaney. And after every play, when Nate blocked somebody, he'd come to me and say, how did I do? How did I do? Nate, still got to do a little bit more. You got to stay with your block. Don't look back and see where the running back is. Keep blocking. And it's an honor to see him, coaching the team now.
Oh, yeah. And then there's basketball history as well. I mean, the number of players coming out of there, the Wayman Tisdales and people like that.
I attend church with the Tisdale family. Like I said, I stayed up the street from Marcus Peel. I mean, right up the street. And his mother always thought that, she didn't think that, but she said we looked like brothers. And she'd come down the street and she'd stop and look at me as I was sitting on the porch. I never knew why she keep looking at me like that. Then Marcus told me, Burks, one day she said she thought me and you look alike. And he was under me. I stayed in the neighborhood of all the great players.
What were the the football games like?
Oh God, we played Thanksgiving Day up to Booker T. My dad would get mad because we tear the grass up after he did it right for Thursday night. He literally go up there like Thursday about 6 o'clock and run kids off the field because they were tearing their grass up. And he wanted to look good on Friday night. As I collect memorabilia for the museum. Reuben Gant gave me a life-size trophy when he was named Player of the Week for the Buffalo Bills, blocking for O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
You know, people give me things all the time. It's simply amazing. My wife and I have probably been to every major sporting museum in the nation, and I bring things back. She seemed like she's always infatuated with the typewriter, and I said, well, I can take this typewriter and utilize it as this is the typewriter that Oklahoma Eagle used back in the day.
Right.
I see ideas all the time. My garage, I can't even park my car in the garage because I'm giving it up to Booker T. Washington, you know.
Yeah, I understand, but that kind of passion leads to what you have now. Do you have you have a collection, obviously. Is there anything displayable that people can see?
Well, we have the Historical Center, which Coach Mims kind of introduced. It's ironic that Coach Mims introduced me to that. And when I went to go visit with him about the same thing, he never knew what I was thinking, and I never knew what he was thinking. But when I was coaching, I said, one day, man, you know, we got so much stuff around here, we can make a museum. And it just started growing. Helmets, you know, sometimes I go into the locker room and say, okay, the season's over with. I'm gonna take this mouthpiece and hang it from, you know, this old kicking shoe. You know, our kicker, Tom Neesmith, he kicked with a square toe, you know, that shoe with like Don Chandler.
Right.
Matter of fact, he says he has that shoe in his barn in Memphis. You know, people call me all the time, Coach. Well, man, I can't take everything you had. Just give me, you know, a legging. Do you know what a legging is?
Oh, yeah.
Just give me a legging or something, you know.
Right, something that you can hang up somewhere like that.
Yeah.
When you go back in football history, you can certainly go deeper than these guys. But to the Weinsberries and Reuben Gants, are they really? That's when people started being able to see it on TV and things like that a little bit more. Is that why you think those guys are known a little better?
I believe so. You know, when you talk about like All-American teams, when we played, it was just one All-American team.
Right.
But now you and I can start our own All-American team.
Yes, we
and
can.
name it and let it get famous. And then how'd you get there? I just kept putting it out every year and making flyers. And I think the media definitely helps. And the weights, you know,
Oh, there's no difference. There's no doubt the training things
Yeah,
have changed.
bigger, stronger, faster, yeah.
And people say that all the time. And, you know, people have asked Coach Switzer those things up at Oklahoma, too. You take that 71 team and play today's team, how would it be? Those athletes, if they trained like today, they'd be even better, wouldn't they?
They'd be, hey, I mean, on this plaque it says we played on the smallest state championship offensive line. And a lot of my teammates, we get together and talk, and I say, so-and-so, do you think you could have blocked Granville Liggins? Some people say yes, some say no. I say, I don't know, man. Being a coach, I see what really goes in behind closed doors, and that explosion is something else, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure that is possible. Do you have some plans for the future for all your stuff?
Well, again, we have the Historical Center, and then we have the Nate E. Harris Fieldhouse. And I'm always taking things out, putting new things in here. As a lot of people don't know this, but when you walk into the field house and you go down on the floor, right down in the east end zone, there's an orange banner up there. Those steel beams that they put up before they do the construction of the field house. And before they made the new field house, somebody suggested, why don't we save one of these banners? And it's the only orange banner up there. It has my name on it, Mike Mims' name was on it, Butch Fisher or Mickey Collins, just some of the names that got the chance to sign it before they hoisted it, because it's never coming down. And I mean, it's amazing. I can go in there today and see things that I put in there and say, wow, I had a vision, you know. I kept this. I kept my leggings. I kept my shoes. Coach Lacey don't know that immediately after we won the state championship and came back to Booker T, I already had a plan. I'm keeping my helmet. I got it. I have it today. You know, I got it today.
He's sorry, Coach.
I'm sorry, yeah, Coach. Yeah.
And we happen to know some of the same people, too, the Cargile family. So Wade and Tom and all you guys out there, we know you. Thanks so much, Lamar. It's been great having you.
All right.
That's Lamar Burks coming back with more here in Inside Tulsa Athletics.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the City of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Battery, steel can, thermos. The correct answer is steel can. Aluminum and steel cans are great for the City of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. To dispose of e-waste like batteries, contact the City of Tulsa. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Whether your child is moving from elementary to middle school or from middle school to high school, Tulsa Public Schools is here to help support your family every step of the way, from STEM and fine arts to career tech and athletics. TPS offers diverse programs to inspire and challenge your student. And with our advanced placement, dual credit, and career training programs, they can even get a head start on their career. Help your student find their future at TPS. Enroll today.
Welcome in again to Tulsa, Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm Rick Couri. I almost got that one wrong there, didn't I? We're talking a little football right here with folks at Booker T. Nate Goodman, the head coach, is with us. You can probably tell since he's wearing nothing but the Hornet gear right there. But,
Yes,
know,
sir.
I like that about you guys. Every time there's a Booker T person on here, everything they're wearing is Booker T.
Yes, sir. We got to brand ourselves, market ourselves, and it's Booker T. You love it. So I love it. I went to school there, so has a piece of my heart. So I just try to rep Booker T whenever I can. So.
And I understand, and you've done that during your season, 7-4 and all the way to the state championship. Tough one against Del City, 34-31, but that is another storied program in there. Just tell me about your season and the development through the year. Did your team make the moves you hoped and wanted?
We did. We coming in so late, I had to try to find a staff that I felt could lead these young men to where we were trying to go. And then we had a lot of injuries early. I think we kind of shuffled rosters. Every game we had a makeshift roster where we were missing 2 or 3 starters. Then we get to that Dale City game, first round of playoffs. And I mean, that was the first game we had 95% of our starters. We were missing our starting linebacker, and our starting left tackle went down the week before to an MCL injury. But we battled the injury, so we kind of plugged and played. We got to see a lot of young guys step up.
Sure.
And make plays. So that kind of let me know that Booker T's future is in a good spot with those young guys, and they got some real playing time, which is critical in a young kid's development. So they got game reps versus practice reps. They got game experience. So that'll go a long way when we move forward into next season.
Yeah, and pardon me for misspeaking, state championship run, trying to get to that state championship. But still, against a team like Del City at 34-31, again, a storied program. Tell me about that game. Take me inside.
That game had a lot of ups and downs. The plan was to take them in 7-0 at half. They got up on us. First series they drove, took eight minutes off the clock. Defense held them. So we had one offensive possession that whole first quarter. Obviously we punted the ball, but it was about 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and one of the seniors on the team thought he saw something and caught a fake punt. We needed 17 yards, he got 10. But we ended up They ended up getting the ball back on their side of the field, and they scored really, really quick. That led us to a 14-0 deficit at halftime. Came back out second half, and we got some things going. We made a sub change with a quarterback. We put Levi Burks back in over Max Houston. Max had kind of played really well when Levi got hurt, so we kind of kept the hot hand with Max. And then Dale City game came along, and Max had his struggle, so we put Levi in, and Levi probably played one of his better games that he's had his whole career. He marched down. We got back in the game. We scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. Dale City went up 21-0, and we scored 14 unanswered points. Then we obviously ran out of time, kind of got on our heads. Coach Johnson ended up calling all his timeout, so we tried to keep ours, but I ended up calling our last one with 4 minutes left in the game. So we tried an onside kick. They got the ball, went down and scored. That drove it to 28-21. They kick it back off. Davion Durham takes it 40 yards for the return, sets the offense up. We get it down. Probably about 40-some seconds left on the clock. We score a touchdown. And that was one of those moments as a coach, you kind of, do I go for 2 and go for the win, or do you go for the tie, let's take our chances in overtime? And I elected to kick the field goal and go into overtime. And so we did that. And we had an opportunity, man. Keenan dropped a teardrop in the back of the end zone, fell off his fingertips. So we ended up kicking a field goal. That made it 31-28. They got the ball on the ensuing possession and scored a touchdown. Ending our season in overtime. We lost 34-31 to a really good team.
You know, coaches have told me before there's no such thing as a good loss, and I agree with that. But you can learn from losses.
Yes,
For
sir.
the guys that are going forward, what do you think they take from this?
They take away fight. You know, I was proud to see those guys didn't quit. And I think that's been the resilience of Booker T is as long as there's time on the clock, we got an opportunity to make plays. And that's what I think that those young guys will build on. And I hope they build on that going into next year is that, hey, anytime there's time on the clock, we're pretty explosive, and we're still Booker T, so we got to go out and make plays.
Yeah, and that still Booker T matters.
Yes.
The thing on the side of the helmet matters. So what is your focus going to be during this offseason?
Off-season, getting these guys stronger. We're going to push a lot of guys in the track just because we need to teach kids how to run. And also just Booker T has always been a competitive school, so we want to teach these guys to go out and compete in other sports to help other programs out. But real big on, trying to get a strength and conditioning coach to get in there and get these bodies developed like they need to be. I think that is the stepping stone that Booker T has kind of hadn't had. We hadn't had a strength and conditioning guy to come in there and focus on just getting their bodies ready for the offseason and into next season. So.
Yeah, definitely need that. A couple of people, where do you think you'll be really good next year?
We'll be really, really good on defense still. We didn't lose a lot. We lose a lot on the back end, but our front seven is pretty deadly. Offensively, seeing Max grow like he did, our level will be pretty good. We got Max coming back. We've got a lot of game reps at quarterback, and he's more of a mobile style quarterback, which Booker T has always kind of had. Sure. So that opens up a lot of floodgates. And then offensive line, that's going to be one of my exciting positions to see those guys come back. We lose one senior on the offensive line, and on the defensive line. So our front seven is going to be pretty good this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys get after it.
Well, Nate, thanks very much for being here, and good luck next year.
Thank you.
That is Nate Goodman. He is the head football coach at Booker T. We'll come back next here on Inside Tulsa Athletics.
I always wanted to be a teacher in a school, and preferably high school, and here I am living out my dream.
I was going to be able to make a difference.
The district is so equitable and lovable to our students.
I chose Tulsa Public Schools because I am Tulsa Public Schools.
I have a lot of students from different cultures that speak different languages, have different traditions.
Tulsa needs teachers like you.
Make a difference in Tulsa.
Apply today at
tulsaschools.org/teach TPS.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Glass bottle, string lights, ceramic mug. The correct answer is glass bottle. Glass bottles and jars are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But string lights and ceramic mugs should be donated or thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri, and you probably recognize this smiling face. Smiling because now, again, he has a championship to her name. This is Patience Dudley, the East Central head flag football coach. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
And this was not an easy championship game, beating Booker T 20-18.
No, it was an interesting game, almost like a repeat of last year.
You still look stressed.
I mean, the girls tend to do that, but collectively we always pull it together. So at the half, we're down 18-0. So a little bit of a nail biter.
Tell me about that halftime speech.
Everybody always asks about the halftime speech. It's a mixture of, we come in and I need perspective. So all season, it's more of teaching the girls the game so they are able to kind of problem solve and come up with ideas that may help us. So when we come out as the second half, we're a different team, but it's because everybody, hey, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this. Okay, and then as a coach, we go, okay, let's switch some things around to address that issue, and it tends to work. So it's not really a speech, like a hoorah, go to glory. It's more like, you have this issue, okay, let's move you here, let's do this. And see if that works. The
most encouraging thing about that to me when I listen to it is that you have the girls understanding and interacting about those things, which is football knowledge that you have to build into.
Mm-hmm. And so pouring just like the basics all through practice, and then you go playing football and coaching is kind of like teaching them like, hey, it's all about probability. If this girl keeps going to the left, I might not be able to see that from my point of view. But if you come in at the half and say, she's doing this, all right, let's attack it because she's most likely going to do that. So teaching them those kind of skills has helped them kind of come back at every point this season.
Yep.
And, we won it all again. So It works.
You built yourself a little bit of dynasty out there. And to your point on halftime speeches, one of my favorite quotes lately was from Peyton Manning, who said, halftime adjustments are the most overrated things ever. He said, you go in, you use the bathroom, you have an orange and a peanut butter sandwich, and you go play. Yeah. I mean, and that's really basically what it was. Now, I'm glad you guys are doing more than that. But I want you to take me inside that second half. You're down 18-0. First of all, having a group of people in a locker room, boys or girls, I don't care who they are, you're down 18-0. When at that point, you got some daubers down. You have to get that focus and attention and convince them you can win this. It's the next play attitude. So take me there and then tell me about the second half.
Attitude-wise, I think probably had half the girls kind of in their thoughts, in their head. Mm-hmm. But those are the same girls, ironically, that were down 16-0 against Booker T last year in the championship game. So if anybody should have been more optimistic and more into the game, it should have been them. But, you know, they're seniors. They get in their heads too. But kind of rallying around like, we've been here before. So let's get with it. Let's get back. Now, what do we need to do? And coming up with that plan. And then going out into the half. Once we get on the scoreboard, it's like, okay, the momentum's there. And convincing a lot of some of our newer players, like, stop playing slow. Let's go. Full speed. The entire second half, get back on the ball. Let's keep going. And as we started creeping, we scored. And then, you know, the momentum builds and defense starts picking up. And then it's like, okay, we got a shutout. Let's go. I think my drive that was the best was that last drive going in. I had to call a timeout because I was like, hey, I just called a timeout so you guys can calm down. I know the nerves. You're only like 8 yards away from, you know, scoring. It's like, calm down. And I was like, also, please keep the ball on the ground. Do not throw this ball because, you know, probability-wise, we don't have time. So keep it on the ground. I don't care if we got to go 2 yards at a time. We got time. Right. We only need 8 yards to score, and then we scored right after the timeout. So it was fun.
Yeah, Coach Switzer used to say, when you throw it, 3 things can happen and 2 are bad. Nowadays in college football and high school football too, that's just not the case necessarily. So after this is all over and you come back again and you've done it 2 years in a row, tell me about the locker room and your girls. And what are you thinking at that point?
I'm thinking, so after the game, the girls couldn't wait to pour water on me. I don't know why. You know, I was dodging them for a bit, but they caught me at the end. But after the game, it was more so my seniors, they're crying. It was very emotional. I think it's just because they had to work and come back again. The same thing they had to do last year. So it's like, oh, we've done it. We had a lot of college coaches out there. All the seniors got an offer from some school on the spot at the game. So you have families emotional just because it's like, oh, this is something, can be something. So it was a lot of hoorah. And at one point, I got to taking so many pictures. I don't know where half the team went. They're clearing the field. I'm like, all right. So the next day at school, we spent some of the time taking pictures because some of them left, you know, families are ready to go. It's late. Let's go home.
Every senior got a scholarship.
Yeah.
Now that's work right there. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm hoping they take it and use it to their advantage.
Absolutely. That is Patience Dudley. She is the head coach of the championship East Central Cardinal girls flag football team. Back with more in a moment here at Inside Tulsa Athletics.
I always wanted to be a teacher in a school and preferably high school, and here I am living out my dream.
I was going to be able to make a difference.
The district is so equitable and lovable to our students.
I chose Tulsa Public Schools because I am Tulsa Public Schools.
I have a lot of students from different cultures that speak different languages, have different traditions.
Tulsa needs teachers like you.
Make a difference in Tulsa.
Apply today at tulsaschools.org/teach
TPS.
Hey Tulsa, we have a crushing recycle play of the day for you. Team Johnson versus paper and cardboard.
They're starting off slow today, probably trying to figure out what to do with those styrofoam plates, since they're not recyclable.
There's the big play we were waiting for. Boom! Completely empty cardboard boxes dunked in the cart. Score big by recycling your cardboard and paper. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
We're back here on Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri. And, we've had a lot of history, and we're talking a lot of history on this show today. We've talked a lot to the folks over at Booker T, but talk about history. There's a whole lot of it in basketball at Memorial. And this man right here, Bobby Allison's responsible for a whole lot of it. Thanks for coming in. Tell me how it's going. I mean, you guys are getting underway.
No, it's going great, Rick. Good to be here. We start tomorrow. We start the 20th versus Glenpool, 7:30. Girls at 6, boys at 7:30, and then we get jump right back in it on Saturday. We go travel to Fort Smith Northside to play a top 10 Arkansas team. So we put in a lot of work really since last May, and we've been building towards kind of the train's leaving the station now. It's time to go on the road and put our show on for the people, and the guys are excited. They've been working hard, so it's time to go compete.
And I think people might be surprised, you said since May. And there's still people who believe that basketball season starts when the media tells you practice begins, and that's just not the way it is it?
No, not in today's age and how guys are playing year-round with AAU and summer leagues. Really, they matter now more than ever because in 5A, 6A, you do one rankings. And so people kind of get a glimpse of you during the summer, and those rankings and those games kind of have they sway people with the rankings and whatnot, and then you go into team camps, and then you do get a kind of a siesta there in July, but once the school year starts, if they're not playing any other sports, you're managing grades, trying to get bigger, stronger, faster, seeing who loves to be in the gym, and working on just being the best student athlete you can be. So all those things we talk about, the three intangibles, our three characteristics of a great player is offensively improving, defensively improving, and then as a teammate, and that's on and off the court. And so we've been attacking those three phases, like I said, since May. Got a good group that's ready to represent Memorial and get back to some big games again like we were in last year.
Interesting to say being a good teammate, because there are some people who are leaders who are vocal, and there's some people who are not leaders, vocal leaders. They're not that comfortable doing that.
Right.
Being a good teammate doesn't mean you have to yell and scream. Describe some of the things you mean. What can you do? And for people who are not really comfortable in the role of leader, doesn't necessarily mean teammate, but those things can be together.
Right. No, I talk about teammate awareness and always being aware, what does the team need right now? I mean, if you're on the court, spacing, talking on defense, making the ball move, bringing somebody's spirits up. And even if you're not on the court, there might be a conversation on the bench, or there might just be a high five, or just you know what I mean? There's just body language and energy. That stuff, it's not seen in the stat sheet, but it works, because you can ask any of my players from the past and on this year's team, there's a certain feel and a certain everybody pulling in the same direction when you do have those special moments. That's the magic, and it comes from being a great teammate, because everybody wants to be a part of the statistical part of basketball, but those unseen moments that you feel and that winners recognize is something that you don't need to be loud about it, but you need to be sincere and real about it.
I think to me, a great teammate comes down to one word: trust.
Oh yeah, Mickey Mantle on his epitaph, it says, "He lies Mickey Mantle, a great teammate."
That's what he wanted.
Yeah, that's what he wants. Pretty good.
It is. You mentioned AAU and summer ball and those kinds of things. And I've always wanted to ask a coach this, and I always forget. You have a style, you have something you're doing, you have things you want guys to work on. They may go play for other people who very much emphasize other things.
Right.
Do you manage that? Do you just let it go? How do you handle it?
Yeah, you got to be aware. And I try to foster great relationships with AAU coaches, because it is, the kids are going to play it. And if a kid doesn't play it, then, you're their basketball voice along with their parents and friends. But no, you just communicate, and sometimes it's good for a kid to scribble outside the lines, which you have for him, because there's trial and error, and maybe sometimes you might see something and you're like, oh, I didn't know he was capable. He is capable of that. Or you also see some of those things and you're like, did you like the result from that? And if they didn't, be like, hey, maybe there's a reason why.
Right.
So you definitely don't want to put a kid in a box. And this day and age, kids they're not going to just do it because you told them to. Sometimes they have to figure out the why, and then they have to put their hand on the stove at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I was going to say, try that at home even, right?
Yeah. So, it's just part of the job, and there's a lot of great guys in the AAU circuit in Tulsa and Oklahoma that keep the kids busy and keep them out of trouble and keep the kids loving basketball. So there's a lot of good that comes out of it as well.
Guys, we're a little bit under a minute now, about 30 seconds,
Yeah.
but name me a few guys that you look forward to this year, and what do you think of your team?
We got a great senior class. We got 8 guys. They all know who they are. They're ready to leave their legacy on 2026 Memorial. And then we got sophomore Jarius Boswell, and then Caleb and Keelan's younger brother, Cam Boone. That's our 10 guys that, along with a great JV team and freshman team that's pushing them in practice. But the 8 seniors, 2026, are ready to run together, and they're going to leave this program better than they found it.
Good things at Memorial.
Yep.
That's Bobby Allison. He's a legend himself over at Memorial. Go watch some basketball over there. We'll be back in a moment here on Inside Tulsa Athletics.
Which one of these items can be recycled in the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart? Air filter, cardboard box, toy car. The correct answer is cardboard box. Paper and cardboard are perfect for the city of Tulsa's blue recycling cart. But air filters and toys should be thrown away in the gray trash cart. Learn more at tulsarecycles.com.
I always wanted to be a teacher in a school, and preferably high school, and here I am living out my dream.
I was going to be able to make a difference.
The district is so equitable and lovable to our students.
I chose Tulsa Public Schools because I am Tulsa Public Schools.
I have a lot of students from different cultures that speak different languages, have different traditions.
Tulsa needs teachers like you.
Make a difference in Tulsa.
Apply today at
tulsaschools.org/teach TPS.
Welcome back. We're in Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri, and we're going to change it up a little. We're going to talk to a principal, Brian Reed. He's the principal at Webster High School, who is kind enough to host us here in these facilities. And this is a guy with a deep history as an athletic director, as a coach, and as a principal. And we're going to talk a little bit about high school and middle school athletics and what it can mean for a school, a program. But I want to go back and to some of your earlier years, because this is not the only time. I mean, sports and athletics have changed, okay? And you have seen it morph through the years. How have you seen it change what it means for a school?
I'm not so certain for me that it's necessarily changed as to what it means for a school. I think it's always, especially with football, because there's so many boys involved in it, but sports in general, they can help influence a culture and the mentality of the school. With the students, the community, the teachers. It's just a great learning tool for our student athletes.
And you've been in some places where that history and culture runs deep, places like up in Ohio and Canton, where the Hall of Fame is, and you know that kids get excited about that. So you can see in some eyes the vision of a future, but you have to make sure that vision is right for them. It's about the education and the moving forward. And sure, there might be some money out there at some point, but it's about more than that, right?
Absolutely. You know, I often share with kids as well, the sport is just an avenue to teach them to be successful in life. The tools that they're going to learn with the coaches and the adversity that they face, whether it's through an injury, whether it's through losses and setbacks, those are all things in life that we go through in our jobs and our lives and our careers and families. And so sports in my family growing up, and as you said, you know, growing up in Northeast Ohio, no different than here in the Tulsa area, that it plays an important role to help shape our boys and girl athletes.
And there's a pride to that around the school, even the people who aren't playing. I know when they talk about, you know, participation, it's not just players. It's pom-pom, and it's cheerleaders, and it's drum, and it's spirit squads.
Yeah.
All those people, the number of people who participate on a given Friday night in football or a given night in wrestling, basketball, you name it, whatever, it's a large number, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. And one of the things with Webster is I've just learned in coming here within the last year and a half through the COVID years and our drop in enrollment that some of our programs and things have dropped off. And right now we've got a gentleman jumping away from the athletics, but just that culture. We just hired a new band director, and I was talking to our football coaches and I said, you know, we all know that there's nothing like being out on that field on a Friday night and the band strikes up and the noise, and each one of them got a big smile across their face because we know what that's like. Yep. Whether you're on the field, whether you're in the stands or listening to it on the radio, we understand what that feeling is like and the memories that elicits for us.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think you can separate band and
No,
football, quite
not at
honestly.
all.
I really don't.
Not
and
at
then you
all.
think about school pep rallies and, the decorations and things like that. And that, I know that's kind of an outward decoration, if you will, but it does run deeper. Where are some things that goes past that in the hallways?
Well, I think it's learning to develop a proper pride and respect in what you represent. So it's not just putting on the uniform, a blue and white uniform representing the Webster Warriors, but the students as well in the hallways, and taking pride in something. When you take pride in it, you're going to take care of it. So it's one of the things that we want to go ahead and try and develop here at Webster, continue to develop, is that pride in being a Webster Warrior. So you take pride and you take care of the things that are yours.
And when you see that kind of excitement, that can help the thing that every TPS school needs, and that's numbers. And when you can get more people excited about any given thing, more participation, better for you, right?
Absolutely. One of the things that I've learned is that no different than maybe throughout the country is kids and families sometimes tend to move and leave the urban centers in their education, but yet we have so many great kids and families that are here and doing well. We just want to continue to foster that and provide a place for students to come and be successful with their academics, but also through their clubs and sports and things of that nature as well.
Did you bring in some ideas of your own? And if so, share some of the things you wanted to do to kind of spread that excitement.
Well, there's a few things. This being my first year, a lot of it is just trying to learn. I was here last year as an assistant principal on the middle school side, but just trying to create that atmosphere with our coaches. Something that I did off the athletic spectrum is in our middle school with 7th grade, I created a 7th grade academy. So it's just a cohort of 30 kids that parents said, you know what, we're willing to have our students, have our children be at a different standard with attendance and grades. And then I just came from there. We did a career cafe where we had H.F. Sinclair come in and meet with those 25 students. They brought in some of their swag. H.F. Sinclair's in our backyard, so they talked about the oil industry, the energy industry, and I had 12 and 13-year-old kids listening to what that's about. Last month, we had Valmont Industries from downtown Tulsa, and we're going to keep bringing those industries back. So it's things like that to try to energize and create just some excitement within our kids that their education is for a purpose. Being a part of a team is for a purpose.
And even, right. It's a team in a different way, but
Absolutely.
It's still part of a team and it still
That's
matters.
Right.
I got to know, because you've coached, because you're an athletic director, how many of those attributes help you as a principal?
Oh, wow. Just the leadership and the camaraderie. I think this is a little bit biased and the people that watch it may feel differently on different ends, but to me, coaches sometimes make your best teachers and vice versa because of that camaraderie and that unity that they bring together. We have a lot of phenomenal teachers that aren't coaches, but that coaching mentality within sports to bring kids together on a common cause, whether they win or lose on a Friday night or individually in a wrestling match, there's still that camaraderie that's built over time.
Absolutely. Well, you're obviously off to a good start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That is Brian Reed. He is the principal here at Webster High School. Back in a moment on Inside Tulsa Athletics.
Hey Tulsans, the city of Tulsa would like to remind you to recycle right. When it comes to items that you can put in your blue recycling card, remember these 4 categories: aluminum and steel cans, cardboard and paper, plastic bottles and jugs, and glass bottles and jars. Please remember that plastic bags, styrofoam, and batteries do not belong in your blue card. Please do your part and don't forget to think before you throw.
Whether your child is moving from elementary to middle school or from middle school to high school, Tulsa Public Schools is here to help support your family every step of the way. From STEM and fine arts to career tech and athletics, TPS offers diverse programs to inspire and challenge your student. And with our advanced placement, dual credit, and career training programs, they can even get a head start on their career. Help your student find their future at TPS. Enroll today.
I'm Rick Couri, back inside Tulsa Athletics. That's 2 insides, isn't it? You'd recognize this guy, Jason Selmon. I think we're paying him now, or just put his name on the chair. I'm not sure which way it is. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of the wrap-up of football season for TPS, and we just talked with Booker T, today as well. Mm-hmm. And they, of course, lost to Del City in a classic football game, but a really good year for another great Booker T team. So tell me, at the end of the year, how do you assess TPS football?
I think we have some programs that are doing very well. We have some that are on the rise, and we have some that are, that have potential to grow. But I think overall, all of our teams finished the season. Some obviously didn't do as good as others, but I think there's some upside when you look at like Booker T, who went in a very good game with a good Del City team. Yeah. But we have other teams that are competing just as hard, but are in some tough districts.
Yes.
So I think when you look at the redistricting that's going to happen, hopefully that will open up some more opportunities for our teams to advance. But I'm upbeat because our coaches, as I talk to, are optimistic about the future of their programs, and they want to grow their programs to the next level. So I think when you have that kind of passion and engagement from the coaching level, it's going to turn into success.
And you've seen some movement, recently in the last few years. It's not that it's new, but Rogers getting their football season, our stadium, Hale having their new facility that they have over there. So you're seeing money input into TPS, and that stuff is needed. You have to have infrastructure.
Absolutely. And our facilities are very, very good. When you talk about a Rogers facility, if you go in there and you look at all the different weight room and the team room and all the things that they have and the field, those things, they mean a lot to a program. And as I go and talk to our coaches, they all say our facilities are top notch. And now it's just time to get kids in them and put them to work.
And that's the thing, is getting kids in there. So as you wrap up a season, let's talk first of all about the logistics of wrapping up a season. What all goes into getting that kind of in the books for you guys?
Yeah, well, obviously you want to do your exit interviews with your kids and make sure that they're good. And if your kids are getting any kind of recruitment, you want to see that through as a coach. You want to wrap up and make sure, your coaches are locked in and coming back, because I think that's one of the main things as a family or as a parent at a program. You want to see coaches that sustain. So when you get past that and that part of the program, then you have to look at your inventory. You got shoulder pads, you got helmets, you got all of those things that have to be accounted for. And that takes a lot of time and effort as you're trying to wrap up the season. And so, those are the main things, but also just building the culture that you want to continue to establish. And that's hard sometimes when you're a new coach trying to do that. But you want to maintain what you've built up, and hopefully that carries on through the off season.
How can administrators help those head coaches? I mean, there's the simple things. I mean, every head coach wants more money for his program or whatever, or more facilities for his program, but that's not always possible. What other ways can administrators really be helpful?
Be present. Be at things, engage with your programs, engage with the coaches, because when the kids see their staff, their faculty, and their administration showing up at their events, they perform better, and they see their administration as part of the team. And so I think that's the main thing, is just having a consistent presence, but also a good communication with your coaches to understand their needs and wants, and then help problem solve.
And problem solving, that's a day or two. We could talk about just problem solving alone. But speaking of that, these days, what are the more common things you're having to address?
More so just trying to address, our kids staying locked in, making sure they're eligible to complete seasons, working through injuries. There's a lot of programs, particularly if your numbers are low, your kids are playing offense, defense, and special teams. And so making sure that our kids stay eligible, locked in, and are going to school and having good attendance. So those are main problems that we want to address, so that way we make sure our kids are eligible and that doesn't hurt our numbers.
Oh yeah, that eligibility is obviously a huge thing. It's something that your coaches keep track of, but other people keep track of it as well.
Yeah.
Now, as you look forward for next year, you've got other things on your plate now, I get that, but do you have some goals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our goals are really to make sure we have quality coaches. I think quantity is one thing and you want to have the numbers, but you want to have coaches that know football and know how to teach football, because we have a lot of kids that are learning the game in a lot of ways. So quality coaching is one that's a major thing. Secondly, numbers. We want to make sure our programs are healthy, but to do that, you have to have at least 40 to 50 kids, I believe, to then complete a season. And then we just got to get bigger, faster, and stronger. I mean, you got to get in the weight room. You got to put the time and the effort in. And overall, our kids, our coaches, our programs just have to get better.
And that's not easy to do. It's an easy thing to say. It's not easy to do, but for all of us, it can be. As a matter of fact, Jason and I will go hit the weight room right now. But we're going to come back for another segment. We're going to talk about something that, oh boy, we get asked about all the time, and that is NIL in high school. That's right. We'll be back with more of it inside Tulsa Athletics.
Hey, Tulsa, we have a crushing recycle play of the day for you. Team Johnson versus paper and cardboard.
They're starting off slow today, probably trying to figure out what to do with those styrofoam plates, since they're not recyclable.
There's the big play we were waiting for. Boom! Completely empty cardboard boxes dunked in the cart. Score big by recycling your cardboard and paper. Learn more at TulsaRecycles.com.
I always wanted to be a teacher in a school, and preferably high school, and here I am living out my dream.
I was going to be able to make a difference.
The district is so equitable and lovable to our students.
I chose Tulsa Public Schools because I am Tulsa Public Schools.
I have a lot of students from different cultures that speak different languages, have different traditions.
Tulsa needs teachers like you.
Make a difference in Tulsa.
Apply today at tulsaschools.org/teach
TPS.
We're back on Inside Tulsa Athletics. Assistant AD Jason Selmon is with us. I'm Rick Couri as we continue here talking a little bit about a football wrap-up for TPS. But we also, and Jason and I talked about this off camera for a while, which is why we're going to visit about it here, and talk about something we hear a lot about nowadays, and that's NIL in high school. And it's a thing that kind of like initial NIL. Oklahoma and the OSSAA kind of set some things about, all right, this is not going to happen. And then they said, okay, it's going to happen. And they said, okay, well, here's some guidelines. But those guidelines aren't really rules.
Yeah.
So it was much like college football. There was a lot of gray area and not much solid ground. So at the end of the day, when you started to look at it and now it's starting to happen, what are your plans? What are we looking at?
Well, it's a real thing and it's happening. You see neighboring districts starting to use different platforms to give their players and athletes across all sports an opportunity to benefit and make a little money. It seems to me as something you have to embrace, or you may get steamrolled over. And so, I think we're considering what that looks like for our district and for our athletes. And it's something that we're having some discussions about.
Have you had any parents actually approach you and say, I think it's a bad idea?
No, I've not had a parent or anybody call. As a matter of fact, a lot of our coaches believe that it is something that is going to be necessary to help us be competitive with our neighboring districts and others who are leaning in this direction. And so parents, they want their kids to make a little money and put some gas in the tank and that kind of thing too. And now there's several platforms to do that. And it's something that is not going away anytime soon.
Right. So what are the platforms?
So the one that I'm most familiar with is Open Doors. I think that's the one that neighboring districts are starting to use. They provide a platform for student athletes to create profiles and then do different activities to make a little money. And so, like, if you wanted my autograph, you could pay me like $12 through the platform, and it goes right into an account where I make 100% of those profits. If you want me to do a social media post and highlight your business, those are things that they are giving kids the opportunity to do. Now, I can't go out in my school colors or use those are the guidelines, or using the logos and those kinds of things that make that kind of put you with the school.
Right.
But I can use my name and my likeness, though, to make a little money.
That's interesting. And so those things, as they start to happen, would give each individual athlete an opportunity. What about the sides of that people are going to immediately say, well, but there's responsibility with that and there are taxes with that and all that. Is any of that handled?
Yeah, so the research that I've done on, say, Open Doors, and I think others probably do this too, but they offer education to kids about, or athletes about NIL, about tax implications, and in a lot of ways they'll give the kid a 1099 and give them some resources to help them so they don't get caught up in a tax situation. There's also, ways that they can safeguard kids to make sure they're getting safe endorsements and, safe investments in their athletes. And those kind of things are safeguarded to make sure the kids are protected.
And I've got to think there are probably some things that are off the table.
Yeah, I would imagine so too. And, when there's a lot of gray area in the rules, then there's a lot of ways to bend and twist and maneuver within them. And so I think that's what everybody is trying to figure out is like how, and even though I think the OSSA is also trying to learn more about it and figure out what exactly is going to be the right fix to make sure that there's some oversight to it, and that kids don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah, and you're going to end up with a lot of different people at a lot of our schools having great opportunities, which I am okay with. I am, but you're going to have a lot of people who don't like the idea of high school kids getting paid either. When those calls come, I would imagine that you're going to have to handle some of those.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. And it's just like anything else, you listen to what concerns there are. But you also help educate people about the opportunities and the ways that their kids can be protected with it. And I think if it's done responsibly and with the right platform, I think it could be a good thing for our students to benefit from.
Well, if you think about it, in the end of the day, this is not different than going out and getting a job at a burger place or something along those lines, anything to make a little extra money. But if you don't have to do that, you can spend more time on football, which, by the way, now takes more time than it ever has. Any sport has, not just football. I'm talking about any sport across the board. There were days when I played, when the season was over, you turned in your stuff, you were done. And you came back in August. It doesn't happen anymore. And in between there, you could have a job. Well, now if you can do it this way, that does give them an opportunity to make up for some of the stuff that some of us, we were able to go do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, kids, if they're really serious about athletics, the goal is to get a scholarship.
Absolutely.
And the more time that you can spend on the field and honing in on your skills and working on your development, is more time you have to reach that goal. And so I think with this opportunity to do that, if used right and responsibly, and I mean, as a student, you can get as much as you want or as least amount as you want. But the opportunity to do that opens those doors for college scholarships for sure.
$12 for a Jason Selmon autograph.
Hey,
right?
I'll give it to you all day.
Jason, thanks very much.
Yes, sir.
That is Assistant Athletic Director Jason Selmon. Back with a moment here in Inside Tulsa Athletics.
Whether your child is moving from elementary to middle school or from middle school to high school, Tulsa Public Schools is here to help support your family every step of the way. From STEM and fine arts to career tech and athletics, TPS offers diverse programs to inspire and challenge your student. And with our advanced placement, dual credit, and career training programs, they can even get a head start on their career. Help your student find their future at TPS. Enroll today.
Hey Tulsans, the City of Tulsa would like to remind you to recycle right. When it comes to items that you can put in your blue recycling card, remember these 4 categories: aluminum and steel cans, cardboard and paper, plastic bottles and jugs, and glass bottles and jars. Please remember that plastic bags, styrofoam, and batteries do not belong in your blue card. Please do your part and don't forget to think before you throw.
We learned a lot of things today on Inside Tulsa Athletics. I'm your host, Rick Couri, and I'm so happy to have had the people we've had here, including Jason Selmon, talking about NIL, which is something people don't necessarily like to talk about. So here's where we are. We've learned a lot about TPS. We've learned a lot about what's happening over at Booker T and their history, and there's some history over there to go look at. And we found out about the high school state championships in flag football from Patience over at East Central. So we want to see you go out now and see some basketball, and we'll see you next time right here on Inside Tulsa Athletics.